Welcome to this week's episode of Success and Women. I'm Linda.
I'm Andrea.
And before we get into our topic, which we're going to talk about goals, Andrea's got her tip for the week.
Well, I just, the other day I was in a mall, and when I came out, I thought, oh gosh, which door did I come in? Where did I park my car? And then I remembered a tip that somebody had told me, that when you park in a big parking lot, be a mall or an office building, wherever there's a lot of cars around, a lot of aisles, when you get out of the car, just take a few pictures of any markers around you, trees, or sometimes they have poles with letters on them.
Even the entrance.
Yeah, and the entrance of the store that you're going into, because the large department stores have many entrances. And you think you're going to remember, but then you get back to your car after, shopping, and your mind's everywhere, and you think, oh boy, where did I park my car? And you can run around with your little button, and hopefully it'll talk to you.
I've had to do that.
Yeah, if not, this way you just bring up the pictures and it'll help you. And even if the pictures are not helping you, the security people that drive around, they'll be able to help you.
Yeah, I like that tip a lot because, and my sister always says, take a picture. I always forget to do that. But because if I go somewhere on a regular basis, I think I'm parking in the same area. And if I couldn't park there and park somewhere else, that's the time I've forgotten that, I couldn't park where I normally park. And now I can't remember where my car is.
Right, exactly.
So I love that tip.
And another thing, one day I had taken my husband's car instead of mine. And I'm out there looking for my car. And I'm thinking, finally it dawned on me, you're not looking for your car, you're looking for his. And then I found it. But take pictures. It's very helpful.
Yeah. So this week we're going to be talking about, because we're well into now 2023, and we want to know, how did you do with your goals last year? Like Andrew and I have discussed ours, and we discussed it throughout the year, and we know that we didn't hit our goal. But nevertheless,
not for lack of trying.
No, Andrea, you have to give us that for effort.
Yes.
Because we definitely tried, and we will continue.
Definitely.
One of the things about when you set a goal, a lot of times people are like this close to getting that goal, but they give up.
Right.
And even though we were this far from our goal, it doesn't matter. It didn't discourage us, because we know that at some point, you ladies are going to help us achieve the goals that we've set. We will continue to be here week after week, hopefully sharing, enough information that eventually you think, I think I'm going to pass this on to my friend. And we want to earn that trust in you. So we're okay that we haven't reached our goals. But I think, and I got my little cards, and I was telling you about this last year, ladies. So Andrea carried our goal for the whole year. This year, what I thought we could do is that we're each going to be writing our goal, because we have some goals that are similar. We have some goals that are different. And I thought, if I can carry this in my back pocket, I can carry it even in a skinny little purse that I carry. So in one way, I'm going to make sure that my brain is looking at this, because every day I have to take it out of my clothes and put it back into whatever I'm wearing.
Right.
So I'm going to be having my own, and hopefully this year will be an easier year for me to write down my goals and the date and what I'm trying to accomplish, both, our joint goals as well as our individual goals.
Right.
And that's one of the things, ladies, you can buy these laminate things at a dollar store, and then you just write down everything. Once you peel off and you stick it in there, it's like a business card. It's not going anywhere. Keep it with you, because as Andrew's mentioned on a previous episode, your brain is so powerful that if you're looking at this every day, and not only that, maybe with your goals on one side, because this will become, once you take off the inside, this will become two-sided. maybe on the back you could put some affirmations. And the affirmations, you're talking as if you already have it. Whatever that goal is, if it's a promotion or whatever. So right now, Andrea and I are in Florida. And I had mentioned before, my sister and her husband are here. And one of the things that my sister and her husband like doing is buying lottery tickets. And they said there's a big Powerball lottery going on. And I said, I told my brother-in-law, I said, well, I'll go in on that. I'll buy, some tickets with you. I said, it'll be nice to kind of set some goals of maybe winning the money.
Right.
We don't always have to work for it. I'm still going to continue to work. But can you imagine if you kept planting that seed about, I'm already a millionaire or a billionaire or whatever it is that the lottery can give you, the potential that the lottery can give you, it might be kind of cool.
Yes, very cool.
It doesn't hurt. It doesn't cost anything to dream big.
That's right. Well, like the commercial says, dream big. Dream big on the Lotterio,
Well, and that's the thing, right? Mm-hmm. And in a lot of the things that I've taken over the years, they always call about the BHOG, the big, hairy, audacious goal. Because why not? Like, who's stopping you from achieving the level of success that you want, really? Is it you or outside sources saying you can't do it?
Well, sometimes we do listen to those outside sources.
That's the problem.
Saying we can't do it or you don't have what it takes. And from our generation, I know so many people that had basically nothing in their pockets. And today they are millionaires. They worked hard and they said, yes, I can. And they've done it. And they didn't listen to naysayers. And that's the thing. If you feel in your heart that you have what it takes to do what you set out to do, then don't let anybody stop you.
If you talk to a lot of successful people, they have written goals. They've got goals that they've written many, many, many years ago, because sometimes it's going to take a while.
Sure.
But set even small goals to get to that big goal.
Right.
Because when you accomplish that, you think, oh, okay, well, and I remember going on
it's encouraging.
It is encouraging, but I remember going on a training course many, many years ago. And it was a sales trainer, and the gentleman that was giving the course said, it's always hard, or the hardest thing is to make your first million. He said, after that, it's easy.
Oh,
and of
really?
course, somebody in the audience said, well, then I just want to go to the next million. So I want to go for the 2 million because you set certain habits and goals and steps that you've taken to achieve that first million.
Right.
Well, you've already established yourself that you know
good habits. Good, listening skills and learning skills.
And actually, you brought up a good point too. If you really truly want to get ahead, and we talked about this in another situation, in another context, but you have to remember you've got to listen. And you got to listen more than you speak. Mm-hmm. If you really want to get ahead, listen to somebody else that's doing it. Listen to somebody that's more successful than you. Find out, ask questions. And you talk about this all the time, Andrea. You've got to ask questions. Matter of fact, it even brings me into, it's not just goal setting, but we talked about this earlier, the fact that sometimes even people take out their anger. That could help prevent you from actually going on and getting to where you need to go as far as your goals.
That's right. Because
they're putting you down, they're making you feel not worthy, whatever. But in life, you got to find out what's going on with the other person. Mm-hmm. Because you talk about that all the time about you got to ask questions. People come in from a bad day. Now they're going to ruin your bad day. And when you were, say, maybe after your normal work day and maybe the kids are down for the night, you were going to spend some time on the computer trying to figure out, and invest time into what your other business is that you want to do.
Right.
And then somebody comes in and ruins all of that.
Because they've had a bad day.
They've had a bad day.
And most people, their first instinct is to react in the same way.
Yeah.
Well, what's your problem? But you know what? When you think about it, the person just came in the door. they haven't talked to you yet. You've done nothing wrong. So instead of jumping the gun and reacting in anger, you just say, hey, what's wrong? Well, what happened? Like, calm down for a minute. Tell me about it. And sometimes it takes a little bit of practice to do that.
Yes, it
But
does.
I mean, I do that with my children, with Eddie. Sometimes he's been on the job all day and the trades, frustrating. He'll walk in and why are the lights on? I go, whoa, calm down. You're not at work anymore. I'm not the plumber. I'm not the framer. You're at home with your family now. And he'll say, oh gosh, okay, yeah, sorry, and then you point it out. You make them realize what they're doing, because a lot of times they have no idea.
And it's interesting because that actually prevents them from moving forward in their own goals.
Exactly.
Because they can't see the forest for the trees. Because they have so much frustration built up. And sometimes you have to help the other person get past that. But also, when you have that, then you've also got the encouragement of that person to help you move forward in what you want to do. And one of the things that I've talked about, and I don't want to say that my marriage was all bad. It wasn't. I had a lot of great things that were going on in my marriage. But one of the things that I felt sometimes is that not blaming my husband, because we all have to take responsibility 100% for our own decisions. But I remember a lot of times in the marriage, if I wanted to do something, or if I wanted to go after a promotion, or if I wanted to just better myself, he would make these little digs that always made me feel like I wasn't good enough. I wasn't worthy. I don't deserve to be more successful, because it really, I think, impacted his self-esteem in the sense that he wasn't confident enough. And he, even though he had a very good, successful job and career, sometimes felt, and I think part of that was his family upbringing, because he wasn't raised in a traditional mom and pop home like a lot of people. And so he had a lot of obstacles to overcome, and he didn't know how to deal. We got married very young, and he didn't know. He didn't know any better, and he didn't know that he was affecting me the way he was, in a negative way.
That's right.
But I remember going on another course. Actually, I think it was one of the same courses with the same instructor, I should say. And because my husband was so negative, and you don't want to surround yourself with negative people. No. If you're going after success and you've got goals and you really want to work towards these goals, you don't want people around you constantly saying, no, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. You know what I mean? Other people, but no way, it's not going to be, and that's too big. I mean, there's no way people, they're better educated. They're, got families with more money. They buy their way in. Don't listen to anybody.
Exactly.
Don't listen. But there's so many negative people. And now, if I get a negative person, and I did this with my husband for a lot until I corrected his behavior, so he didn't always come out negatively first. I would just, if he came and said something to me negative, I went up to him and I went, bad seed, bad seed. And I never touched him. I just went to his forehead, never touched him. Okay?
Wow.
And he'd go, Linda, stop doing that. I said, you stop being negative and I'll stop doing that.
Wow.
He'd come out negative again. Bad seed, bad seed.
Oh, jeez.
Linda, stop doing that. I said, I will stop when you stop being negative. Well, after several times, it's like anybody that has a bad habit. And that's what it was. It had become a bad habit because he always went to the negative before the positive.
Right.
And I couldn't stand it. And for me, I have always had a career basically in sales. I don't want anybody being negative around me. How do I go out and be positive and tell people, whatever I'm selling is the right thing to have, when he's just, being negative around me, and that I'm not going to be successful
and
because
you're picking up on those vibes.
You do.
Yeah.
You can't help it if it's in your environment all the time.
Exactly.
So it took a while. But I got to tell you, he is not a negative guy. He's had everything happen to him. He's been close to death 3 times. He's in a wheelchair. He is not a negative man.
See?
I'm telling you, people go see him. He's got a smile on his face all the time.
It's patterns. Patterns that we build in our lives from childhood to teenage
Absolutely.
to adulthood. And sometimes the patterns are good. Sometimes, they're positive, and then sometimes they're very negative. They're holding you back. And you have to find ways to break those patterns.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't happen overnight.
No.
It takes time. But you have to be aware.
That's the thing. You got to recognize it. Yes.
And that's the only way that Dennis could be aware, was by you reacting to the negativity.
Yep.
So that he thought, because he could say something and not even realize it was negative. But when you went,
right.
bad seed,
He has to think about it.
he has to think about it. And then little by little, you realize, okay, I
Do you
shouldn't
remember?
talk like that.
Do you remember the? And this goes way back in school, but Pavlov's for the dog and stuff. There was something they were doing to the dog. That Pavlov's experiment. And I should have looked that up initially. But the thing is, it's how you train. A lot of animals get trained that way, because you can do certain things with an elephant, and then eventually, and an elephant's big. But eventually, if you train an elephant, you put a small little rope with a peg, because they had been trained that they can't move outside this circumference, they won't even try anymore.
Wow.
And so it's because it's part of the brain.
That's the way the brain works.
Right. And so if you grew up in an environment where it was very negative around you, and that's possible for a lot of us. Because we grew up in a different time. Mm-hmm. We grew up in small, I'll say, towns. There wasn't a lot of, I'll say, encouragement, because there wasn't a lot of money there. People struggled to pay just to feed these large families that they had.
And like in my family, the goal, or what I heard from my mom's mouth and my dad, was, just finish high school and find yourself a husband and get married. That was basically what because that's what they did.
Yeah.
And but with my daughters, and because I've learned that wasn't the way to go, and so because so many of, not myself, but so many of my friends that did that are divorced or were unhappy and whatever. So that's not the way to go. So when I raised my children, I encouraged them. I said, if you want to get married, that's fine, but be financially stable in your own right, so that you're getting married for the right reason, not to get out of the house, and not because that's what's expected of you, and not because you have to be supported. And that has worked with my children. They all have great jobs. Two of them still aren't married, and they're in their 30s. So marriage isn't a priority. In our day, it was for our mothers to tell us.
Well, and it's not even actually that my mom told me, but that the environment dictated it.
Yes.
Because I ended up getting married at 20, and it's not that I needed to get out of the house, but my father had passed away, and my mother was struggling because my dad didn't have insurance and stuff, so we still had kids at home, and I've been dating my husband for a few years, off and on, because we were young, and it was just a thing to do because it was normal back then.
Exactly.
But what I needed and what I wanted in the marriage was so much more. And unfortunately, like I said, my husband wasn't raised to be supportive and encouraging to the wife, because wives stayed home for the most part and raised kids. That's what he saw in his environment. And where my dad actually, I'm going to say, allowed my mother, because back then, husbands kind of did rule, but my dad didn't dictate in our household. But my mother wanted to go to work, and actually my dad encouraged it, because he said, we got all these kids and we want to be able to provide. And so my mother, the only thing she knew was waitressing, but my mother went to work. And so my dad took on a lot of the hands-on stuff. So he was encouraging that way. So, I kind of saw it from my dad's point, but then he died and I was still young. And like I said, and the environment around us was you got married. So I got married, but I wanted something in my life. I wanted something in my career. And when I first got married, and I told my husband I didn't want children, in the end, when I decided, I changed my mind as I grew up. I decided, yeah, children would be great. And it didn't happen. And so there was nothing medically wrong that they could find. It just wasn't meant to be. But sometimes I think that was a sign from God that I was destined for other things.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But
and we just don't know it. We didn't know it back then.
No.
We didn't recognize that we had a talent for this. Some did, of course. I'm
Yes.
not saying there weren't, because
Yeah.
there was some families on our street that had small families, and
very few of them, but yes.
and their parents encouraged them more. But with all of our friends, you know, it was more survival.
Yeah.
It wasn't
It was.
thinking of a grand future for
Yeah, so you would
anybody.
never set a goal.
No.
You know, I mean, my only goal that I could ever think of as a kid was just making it through the next grade.
Yes.
The next grade. And I have to tell you, Andrea, because along the way, I actually had people fail that I had gone to school with. And that bothered me. Like, it really scared me. And I only ever did enough to get to the next grade.
To the next grade.
But I did it all the way
Yes,
through,
yeah.
and happy. But that was a goal. That was the only, and I didn't write it down, but I thought about it all the time. Like, I have to pass, I have to pass. So I always did enough homework that always made me get to the next
Yeah.
grade. And I remember one of them, I was like borderline, because I really wasn't putting in the effort. And they said, if you don't pass the first semester of this particular grade, you're going back. And after that, I picked up
your
my,
socks.
yes. And actually, when I went to college, I started hanging around with people that were smarter than I was, because it encouraged me to be, I'm so competitive. And I literally, I had to compete, that I had to be as good as they were. So, I mean, for me, that helped. But I, all through all of that, was married, because I got married out of high school kind of thing, almost. I was 20 when I did get married, but I went back to school when I was married. And my husband just said, that's fine, I'll pay, but don't bring your stuff home. I don't want to know about it. And so even with that, he wasn't encouraging even to go to school.
Right.
And I find that it's better to surround yourself with people that will help lift you up and give you that encouragement that you can do it, you can do it. And that's kind of why Andrew and I want to do this show, is because
Yes.
we want to make sure, ladies, you've got somebody cheering back here saying you can do it.
Yes.
If you've set your mind, you've written out your goals.
And don't worry about your age.
No.
Linda and I,
Age has no factor
we're
in
not
any
young
of this.
chickens, and we've decided
Yeah.
we're going to do this.
But, you know, life is what you make it. And it ain't over till it's over. And we're not saying it's over anytime soon.
Exactly.
And so you shouldn't either. And don't let any circumstances that you've had from before, regardless. And I might have mentioned this on another show, but Dr. Laura has a book that said, Bad Childhood, Good Life. Because no matter what your childhood was, it's still up to you to make your life better. And you can do it. As long as you take 100% responsibility. The parents that you had, maybe they did the best they could. That's all they knew. It was like my husband not encouraging me.
Yeah.
It was all he knew.
That's right.
And so don't take it out on them that I'm here because I didn't get this, I didn't get that. Stop bitching and just get out there and do it now.
Yes.
You still have your life.
Make the change.
Make the change, no
It's
matter where you
possible.
are and what you
And
want.
set some new goals for
Yes.
2023.
Yes.
And go for it.
Yeah, and maybe sometime throughout the year, we're going to actually just check in
Yeah.
and find out how you're doing. And if there's something that you need from us to help move you forward and elevate you in whatever it is that you need, we're here for you.
Yeah.
Good. So, ladies, that's it for this week. We will be talking to you very, very shortly. And again, we need you to
Like,
share.
and please subscribe.
That's our goal.
That's our goal.
Until next week.
Bye, ladies.